recently played several games of Coral Sea, a game published by Bellica 3rd generation in Spain. It is the second game of their Campaign Commander series. It clearly deals with the Pacific theater in World War II. I played it several times, but I want to play a little bit more before I commit to a full review. In the meanwhile, however, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial of the way the combat system works in this game, because I find it pretty interesting, pretty fun, and also pretty original. In this game, you have two types of units, which are gonna be land units and naval units. Each unit has three values. The one here in the bottom left corner is cohesion, then you have movement, and the one up here is tactical value. Now we're going to talk about combat only, so we can ignore movement. Each player also has a cup that will contain battle cheats. So there's going to be a pool of battle cheats for the LA player and a pool of battle cheats for the Japanese player. What happens is that both players will draw from the cap the number of cheats of the unit that they have in the battle with the highest tactical value. So for example, suppose it's a battle just between these two units, then what happens here is that Japanese player can draw 3 cheats that he will use later in the battle. And the allies player has only that unit that has a tactical value 1, or you might have as many units with tactical value 1 as you want, still is only 1 cheat, is only the highest number. Then the attacker will commit one of his cheats to the battle, and the defender will do the same. Of course, if you only have one, you can choose. If you have several, so if you have a good tactical value, you can choose the order, and some cheats are better than others. Sometimes, you know, the ones that are not so good, you can push them, and you can use them later, or maybe you're lucky you don't have to use them at all. What happens here is that the attacker will then resolve his battle cheat first, followed by the defender. So interesting, it's one of those rare games where the attacker has an advantage on the defender. And the way these battle cheats are resolved is that they work slightly differently from one another, which is interesting, so it's not just the same thing over and over, but they basically, what they do at their core is that they force an enemy unit to take a cohesion value. You have in the rulebook more details about what the different cheats do. You also have a very useful player's aid that tells you more synthetically, reminds you more synthetically what the units do. I wish there were 2 of these, but unfortunately the game comes with only 1. So as I said, the basic idea, some do it differently with different modifiers, but the basic idea is that a battle cheat inflicts a cohesion check on a unit of the opponent. Cohesion check means that you have to roll a 10-sided die that might or might not have modifiers depending on the battle cheat, and you have to roll the number of your cohesion, the cohesion number of your unit or less. In this case, for example, this unit, the Japanese was attacking this unit, this ally unit passes the test. Suppose that's not the case, you roll more than the tactical, then you fail the check. Well, the cohesion check is 1, but it might have different effects. It has 2 effects and depends on the cheats. Some cheats will inflict a depletion. So when you fail one of those rolls, you just flip the unit to its depleted side, and as you can see, the unit has lower values. However, the other and more dangerous result is disorganization. So if you fail a cohesion check for disorganization, you will have to put one of these disorganization markers on your unit. Now all the values of the units are lowered by 1, as the marker reminds you, but more importantly, you have to retreat the unit to another area outside of the battle. And this is, different units will retreat differently. It depends if they're naval, if they're ground units. Different games in the series have different rules for this, but the main idea is that once you're disorganized, you have to leave the area. And in fact, the winner in the end will be the one that is the player that is the only one to have units in a certain area. Also, negative results can be accumulated if you became depleted, then later you get the disorganized marker, and then you leave and you also are depleted. If you're depleted and you're depleted again, then that is a disorganized instead. It's pretty interesting there, but what is also noticeable is that it's kind of hard to destroy the enemy's units. The majority of the battles I've seen ended because one of the signs was able to push away the other one. In fact, the only way to, one of the few, there are two ways of destroying units. One is to force them to retreat when they cannot do so, because they're surrounded by impassable terrains or because they are surrounded by enemies. And so you cannot win just by sheer force. You need to maneuver around and be able to block the retreat and then try to inflict a disorganization marker so the unit has to retreat, cannot, and is destroyed. The other way that affects only naval units is if a naval unit is depleted, then you inflict them a disorganized marker, so they leave the area. Then if you manage to attack them again before they can reorganize and inflict them another deplete result, then you destroy the unit. If you hit them but inflict a disorganization result, then no further effect happens in terms of disorganization. You just push them away, you force them to retreat again, and then you have to keep chasing them. So I find it's an interesting system because you have the cheat pool mechanism, but it's not completely random because, well, it depends. If you manage to commit good tactical units, then you actually have more cheats that you can choose from, and you can create more strategy. Important, you never run out of cheats. For example, if the players play these two cheats, now the next turn the allied player will simply draw another one. You can always draw, but if you have a tactical value 1, you just draw one at a time and you're forced to play that one. So there are choices there. Also, players have a deck of cards. As you can see, they have different colors on their borders. It means that they can be played at different times, and some of these cards can be played during the battle, so you have more choices, more options there, more ways in which the battle can go. And I find these battles pretty fun and really rewarding.